Hey, Joel.
Hey, Andrew.
So this is a first for us. I know we've talked about it for a few weeks on the traditional podcast, but this is our very first Patreon exclusive episode.
I know. I'm kind of excited, Andrew.
We're going back to the land of meat and reality with another live action landfill. And we are covering in the spirit of the normal cartoon dumpster dive that you get for free. We are covering the live action Gem and the Holograms movie that came out in 2015.
And dude, it's a
roughin'.
It's been a struggle. As I was watching this, I constantly was telling myself, Andrew must have picked this movie in retaliation to me making him watch that Mariah Carey movie.
No, actually, no. It was just on with the theme, and a lot of people were like, "I know you guys only do cartoons, but could you do the live action movie and talk how much it sucks?" And I was like, "Sure, why not?" And then I figured, why not do it for the Patreon people, and maybe this buzz will talk more people into it. I don't know,
maybe,
but
I mean, there's really no theme song this time around.
There are songs.
Oh, there are songs, and
they are all sung by the our main actor, Aubrey Peepless. I think that's how you say it. Peepers.
Peepers.
Aubrey. We'll just call her Aubrey. She knows who she is. If she wants to subscribe to our Patreon, she can listen to us talk shit.
Yeah. Okay, once I looked up like some of who were behind, like who basically helped create this awful movie, I was very surprised because these people were behind a lot of great movies and other great things.
Directed by John M. Chu. It's a Blumhouse movie. Produced by Universal.
Yep. Yeah.
Now, Jonathan Chu did do, or John, he goes by John. He did do Step It Up, All In.
All In.
He was an executive producer.
So he directed the Crazy Rich Asian movie.
Oh, okay. I hear that's a good movie.
Dude, you haven't watched it? You look, hey, you and have we said your wife's name on the podcast?
I don't think so.
So we'll leave it at that. You and the wife, you and the missus.
Yeah.
Y'all need to watch it.
Okay. Oh, he did all the Step It Ups, I believe, and G.I. Joe Retaliation.
Yeah.
I think that's the one where Channing Tatum dies.
And
Justin Bieber's Never Say Never.
So here's the thing. So because I mean, clearly this was Hasbro jumping on the bandwagon with.
Okay, it wasn't Hasbro. I wouldn't say it wasn't Hasbro so much as jumping on the bandwagon, but they semi-killed it with G.I. Joe. They majorly killed it with Transformers. And they're like, all right, we need another of our toy line franchises to really get the ball rolling.
Yeah. That's I used the wrong phrase, but yeah, that's really what it was. It was just them trying to revive other popular items after the success of G.I. Joe and the Transformers live action movie.
So let's get into this movie. Let's get into how it starts. It starts with our girl Jerrica doing I guess a YouTube video, and it's like, I'm gonna tell you all a story about how I became me. Red flag right off the bat. You're just like, okay, one of these, huh?
Yeah, I always love it when movies they'll do where they'll actually like go to YouTube and find clips of like people talking into the camera and splice it with their ultra high def cameras.
That's also true. I take that back. That's not how this movie begins. This movie begins with a bunch of B-roll stuff of people playing instruments. One guy's playing like a bunch of melons, it looks like.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, like melons and water or something.
Music is what flows. It's what... It's definitely something that if you've met a douchebag who plays music semi-professionally, like you can go see him at your local bar and you see him often. And if you asked him to describe music to you, it would sound a lot like this.
Yeah.
Am I off base with that? Like a douchebag's description of music?
No, it's that very generic music is everything.
Yeah,
speech.
Music is all around us. If you replace it with the Force, you get Star Wars, basically.
You get a hokey religion?
Yeah, I mean, kind of. So, I have a question. Just this is the overall of this entire movie. We watched Gem this week. And if you're watching this in the future, if you look at the date of when we did Gem and the Holograms and you're listening to this now, it was that week.
Yep.
Gem and the Holograms is an incredibly fun show.
Yes.
Like, it is bright, it is loud, it is fun. How did they literally take all of that away? I'm more impressed that, like, it was like a fun vampire came into that writer's room. Because if you look at the other properties, and we have our, thoughts on G.I. Joe and Transformers.
Yeah.
They're not good.
No.
But they are fun.
They are entertaining. They have a certain entertainment value to them. Do I think they are like God's gift to humanity? No.
No, they're not. But
they're fun. They are entertaining.
You could definitely get baked on an afternoon and like have a pretty good time with these. With with Transformers and G.I. Joe. This is just the Gem movie is just a dark, lame bore. It's boring. And this show had holograms in a terrorist rival band. How do you mess that up? How do you take all of that away?
Well, think about it. They literally had to say that, hey, we're going to make a live action version. The shit that we did in the 80s with that cartoon and what they did in there, we can't necessarily do in a live action version. So they had to figure out how to make this more realistic.
It was 2015. Yes, they could.
Andrew, you know what the crazy thing is? Do you know that Hasbro teetered with the idea of doing a live action Gem and also or not, and so they was going to do a live action Gem movie or do a new animated Gem series?
Really bad. Like, they should have just done a new animated version.
Oh, it probably
would a piss poor call.
It would have been 1,000 times better. 1,000 times. People probably would have went around singing Jim songs like they did with Frozen if they did that, I bet.
Okay, no. I also have to argue with the whole they had to make this more real. You know why?
Okay.
The Transformers movie, the first one, it came out in 2007.
Okay.
So they had a good fucking while to get their shit together. They had 2 presidential terms to figure out how to do something with a gem and the holograms.
So here is the and I know we really haven't talked about too much of like the differences between the cartoon and the movie. I figured that this movie would really pull away from the whole AI aspect of like the sentient being aspect of the original Jim.
Yeah.
They did not.
They did not at all. Well, they did, but it's less fun. So Synergy is basically like a bleep blorp Star Wars droid, only lame as fuck. It's terrible. It's just like so here are some similarities. Jem's parents are dead.
Yep.
But instead of her being older, she just goes and lives in an orphanage.
Yeah, and she didn't inherit the Starlight.
She didn't inherit Starlight
Yep.
Industries.
Yeah.
And so this is how it is. So her and her sister, Kimber, dumb name. They go and live with their aunt, who has 2 foster children.
Who is played by Molly Ringwald.
Oh, that is Molly Ringwald? I couldn't recognize her with her Karen-ass haircut.
Oh my god, man. The movie is very dark. You've mentioned this, like just the lighting.
I'm not saying like tonally dark. It's like it's dark.
The lighting in it is dark. I was still able to recognize Molly in a second. That's my goal.
Yeah, you had a big crush on Molly Ringwald, despite not living in the era where
she's the 80s queen, man.
You were born in like 92.
I was born in 90.
Okay. That's right.
It's
You're
not
a
any
year
better
older than me.
It's
I was
not
born in 89, so I don't know anything about the 80s. I just know I was there briefly.
I was there for a few months.
I was there for a few months, and I was like, scrabadooshus. Those were my
Berlin
first
Wall.
words, Joel. That's how I knew. And then I went, Ronald Reagan.
You bastard.
If you don't get that reference, that's a deep cut from the Gem and the Holograms episode we did on the cartoon, which would be very surprising. You subscribe to our Patreon to listen to this first,
And not the cartoon. Yeah.
not the free cartoon version we produced.
This is just someone scrolling through Patreon and they're like,
I'll check that shit out. That sounds cool.
I'll pay them money.
Yeah, that's fine. That's worth $5. So, one thing that really bothered me about this is
we were talking about the simile.
the similarities. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they do the same thing. They Hannah Montana it, and by I mean that Jerrica and Jim can't be the same person. The only difference between this one and the other one is Jim uses a hologram to disguise herself, while live action Jim uses a wig. That's it. A wig and some face paint. And you're just like, really? You took that away?
Yeah.
Why not?
And,
Why not lean into the holograms?
And her love interest actually knows about her being Jim.
That's true. They nipped that in the bud
There's
pretty
no
quickly.
love like crazy
between
messed up
Jerica
love
and
triangle. Yeah.
That would be infinitely more funny to see because
would have
it's
been
not
hilarious.
a hologram. It's
Yeah,
just
it
her
would
in
have been
a wig.
hilarious.
Also, another change, instead of Eric, what was his last name? Instead of Eric Raymond, it's Erica Raymond, and Rio is her daughter. Or
her son.
His son. That gender stuff really threw me through a loop. She is played by Juliette Lewis, and I couldn't take her seriously because I just got done watching My Name Is Earl.
Oh yeah.
And there's that episode where she's a bounty hunter and she gets punched so hard in the face her 2 front teeth fall out. And so I couldn't treat her as menacing.
I've never been. She is not a menacing person. She just can't.
No, she's not.
She can't pull it off.
She's too kind looking. She's
Yeah.
also in Natural Born Killers.
Yep.
So there's that for you. But anyway, so they make a YouTube video. That's how they get famous. In the old 80s when we didn't have YouTube back in the 80s, back in those 6 months I was in the 80s, I can confirm they didn't have YouTube. So she was just already in a band, whatever, in Jem and the Holograms. That was very much the least important part of Jem and the Holograms, the cartoon. And this one, they make a viral video, or their video of their very mediocre song goes viral on YouTube, and they immediately get contacted by Erica at Starlight Records. Starlight Records is apparently the powerhouse record company of the world. They'll make and break any artist, in which you see none of them. But eventually, they start going on tour, which is barely shown. And there are 2 things that really stood out to me. The first one is The Rock is in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm almost certain that it's like a cameo, or he literally did his shit. Like, he literally did his part with his personal phone.
Oh, yeah.
And probably got paid $1 million.
Oh, yeah. They threw out money to get a couple of A-list celebrities to
Keeping in mind, we haven't said this yet, but the budget of this movie was $5 million.
And
in movie terms, that is not a lot. That's like enough for craft services.
Yeah, I was about to say $2 million of that went to The Rock.
Yeah, definitely. And then we have another known face. We have Chris Pratt.
Yeah, he was in it.
Admits on national television he dated Gemini, a teenager in the band.
Oh yeah, that's right. Well, he said
just like me and Gemini used to date
6,
and I'm like,
but that's the thing. Used to date.
Bold claim for a lot of reasons.
Well, how old was Jerica supposed to be in the movie?
I mean, she still had to live at home.
I thought that was just more by choice than anything.
I don't think so.
I mean, it's California. Where else you gonna live?
That's true. Outrageous prices.
I was about to say.
I assumed she was under 18. And it makes my joke work better. So
it does. It does.
That's why I assumed she was that young. Like, just. Besides, not a lot of people like Chris Pratt. We can take him down a peg with no repercussions. What's he gonna do? Subscribe to our Patreon and listen to this? No.
Be hilarious if he's like one of the 4 people that subscribe.
Unless he's going in under a fake name, I do not think so. So, runtime. The runtime of this movie is a whopping 2 hours, and you feel
It's a
every single second of
It's a
agonizing. Which, another thing, so the movie's 2 hours, right? It's paced super fast.
yeah.
Like nobody has any time to develop anything. Like nothing is earned. They have this huge falling out that takes like 5 minutes. And I think the reason that this movie is so long is it splits it up into like music videos
Yeah.
and just really, really long-winded like monologues between the characters that you just don't want to hear because they're like, my dad went missing and we have to use synergy to find him. And you're like, shut up and do something.
So I can tell you, I watched the first half of this movie while I walked today, and I stopped it because I couldn't anymore. I just, before we started recording, just finished the second half, but I watched that half at 1.5 speed, 1,000 times better.
Yeah, might as well. Like, you really need to I mean, it's on Netflix if anyone else wants to watch it and argue with us about it. But.
Yep.
So, at one point, the orphanage or the house or wherever Molly Ringwald's staying is going under. And, Erica takes this opportunity to sign Jim as a solo act. And she does that. And then, like, the other girls, they're like, I can't believe you did that. You wanted to go solo that badly? And I'm like, there was never a time where they had any kind of conflict to where the emotions they're having are warranted.
Yeah.
Because Jim could have been like, hey, the house is about to go under. I signed a solo thing to save it. And they'd be like, they'd be hurt, but at least, I don't know. There's just nothing there. Like,
no, there's no depth to any of it.
It's just like the writers went, we need to have the like second act conflict. And then but we don't need to like explain anything. We'll just do it.
Well, they did that with the them coming back together, like her sisters
it
forgiving
happened
her
so fast.
It's just like in when it seems like when every character has a monologue, the times that it would actually make sense to have a monologue, like, why is it that this one sister is forgiving, Jericho?
Yeah.
They don't put one in there.
Yeah, they don't do it. They just automatically make up. Also, it's this movie is filled with super cringy a cappella moments that come out of nowhere.
Oh, one of my favorite lines in this movie, it's when Rio, the love interest, and Jericho first start bonding. And he basically talks about like he'll take over the record label, his mom's and dad's record label, but he really wants to hire, musicians who are like inspirational and don't use auto-tune. And every song this lady sings is auto-tuned heavily.
Oh yeah. Big time. My favorite line in this movie is Rio says to Jericho.
I know what you're about to say.
Jim, you're ready for adventure, glamour, glitter, fashion, and fame. And I'm like, did you just William Shatner the fucking first lines of the theme song?
Yes, he did.
I'm like, what asshole wrote that down and thought that was going to be clever? That made me so fucking mad.
Look, that was probably one of
Yeah.
to me, that was actually one of the saving lines in that.
Or
I actually enjoyed it.
When they get she puts on her costume. Her costume is Jen, and they're like, "What do you guys think?" And they're like, "What do we think? Truly, it's truly outrageous." I'm like, "Fuck off." You couldn't deliver that a little better.
But I
also
think that just goes to the acting in this.
That may be
It's
the
pretty
acting.
bad.
It may
But
be.
yeah.
I mean, what kind of actors are you really going to get for $5 million when you've already spent
True.
$2.5 million on Chris Pratt and The Rock?
Very true.
So when she goes solo and she does her song Solo, where they have that really cheesy music video where she knocks all the stuff off the makeup wall and breaks the mirror. Did she look like Wish.com Lady Gaga to you, or was that just me?
Yes.
So and then we're like
The
bouncing
best-
around the story like
the best
like
description.
crazy. We have not gone in chronological order at all.
No, but who cares?
The main, but who the fuck cares? I mean, really, like
You're not gonna watch-
unless
you're
you
not gonna
sit down
watch
and
this.
watch this movie. You're not gonna care, and you could if you want to.
But why?
So one of the things is they got to put Synergy together, and I was under the impression that Synergy would do something cool when he was put together. I don't know what, but no, it's just a heartfelt message from Jerica's dad.
It
And,
almost just feels like Synergy is just literally a machine to project holograms. That's it. That's all it ever does, honestly.
And so you but in order to get the last parts of Synergy, they had to go break into Starlight Records, which they do not explain why they are there. They never
for the earrings.
No, I mean, like, why are the earrings her dad left her there?
Oh, because
Like, why are the extra pieces? Why are the last pieces of Synergy in Starlight Records?
Oh, I know why they was in, because when they first went to Starlight Records to, meet Erica, she pointed out her earrings and was just like, "No, you gotta get rid of these." And but she herself, like her bodyguard, took a box. They put the earrings in the box, and then she was like, "We'll keep these in my personal safe for safekeeping."
There must have been like a deleted scene where she knew about it.
Why else would you keep it in a safe?
There's
and
no
not
reason.
Just be
She
like,
should have just thrown them away.
Yeah, she should have
There
just
has
like,
to be
lose
there has
the
to be
earrings.
a gem in the Holograms director's cut where they explain that shit.
I would
That's
almost
awesome.
watch. I at this point, since I've already wasted so much of my life on this movie, I would probably watch the director's cut just to get, hopefully,
just to get a full fleshed out story. So
to get answers.
So one thing I thought was funny.
Okay.
This is actually the only time I might have laughed the entire movie. Distracting the security guards with a cute YouTube video is actually a pretty funny joke.
Yep.
And then that's about it. So we're at Synergy's dad's message, right? So I don't like her dad says use what you learned to be a good person or what. I'm like, did she learn anything other than like the music industry kind of sucks?
Yep.
But Jem's parents definitely favored Jem over Kimber.
100%.
Kimber doesn't get a heartfelt message from her dad about how proud he is of her.
All Jim ever does, all Jericho ever does this movie is cry about, "My dad died." Which, yes, that is sad, but Kimber never mentions
she seems
it.
to be going about it pretty well.
You would almost feel like Kimber's not even related to Jericho.
Yeah.
Because it's like, it doesn't even faze her. And in that message that the dad gave Jericho, I died laughing when he was just like, you know, watch out for Kimber. Like, you know, the thing that I created the most, or the thing that I love the most that I created was you and Kimber. And I'm like, you don't care.
The and Kimber part, like, it slipped his mind. He had a second kid.
I'm like, you don't care.
That was supposed to be this, like, heartfelt thing. And it's like her and Rio, but it definitely should have been her and Kimber.
100%.
Like,
but that goes back
why
to...
are you there, dude? Like,
that goes back to Kimber. Her relationship with her father was not very good, apparently.
It had to not have been. She must have been a massive disappointment.
Must have. Like you only sing backup. Oh, how dare you?
It's like, maybe... No, they died when they were 10, so it's like she wasn't even like social media obsessed like she is in the movie. So later they all get together and the message from her dad inspires her, and then Erica's like, you guys are never going to go on stage and sing this song. I'm going to cancel all your contracts. And then you learn just out of the blue that Rio could have done this literally at any point during the movie. Literally 100% at any time. He could have done this before the movie even started. So he goes, but you're forgetting one thing, Mother. In Dad's will, it says I can take over the company whenever I'm ready, and I'm ready now. And she's like, well, I only have the copy of Dad's will. Well, spoilers, everyone. They took the will out of Erica's room when they stole back the earrings. So now Rio has 100% control of the company.
Yeah.
Right now, just at any time.
I think it was implied that he never knew that information until he found that will in the safe.
I guess that has to be that.
But that's the thing. Like, it was implied with no backstory, no development to it. So you don't know for a fact. You're just like...
Yeah, because they never sit down and read the will.
They don't read the will, but they don't...
Then you don't
they don't even
see
talk
it,
about it.
Like, in text.
He's just like, oh, this is my dad's will. And that's it. Like, you know, he doesn't throw in a small little line. He could have just been like, Mom said that, you know, she didn't have a copy. You could have done that one simple line to give an explanation that, hey, he's never seen the will.
Yeah,
just
something like that.
But yeah,
it's like, I didn't even know my dad left a will. It would have been equally as stupid for him to say that, but at least he would have known.
Yeah, like
to say anything.
Here's my thing.
So,
what lawyer? There's some crazy stuff in wills, but how do you absolutely define in a will, like, he takes over the business when he says he's ready? Like,
that is a very good point. I didn't think about that. He could have said he's ready at any time.
What if
said he was ready at like 12 years old?
I was about to say, like, what if he was younger and he was like, no, Mom, I'm ready to run it. And she's just like, well, fuck. I gotta turn it over to you.
A lawyer pops out of the bushes and goes, that's legally binding.
Yeah, like, what lawyer would just put this vague information? I guess a lawyer would put vague information in a will. Yeah. Oh, boy.
So Jim does a big old speech before her song.
Well, and, Jim. You're Jim.
I was going to say it's basically a lamer version of I am Spartacus. It's like, you're a gem and anybody can be a gem and we can all shine and sparkle. But at the end, under her breath, I imagine she goes, but I'm still the famous musician millionaire.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's what every musician means when they say, we're all special. We can all do this. They know that you can't.
Yep.
And then we get a bunch of clips. And this is where, or no, excuse me, we got to talk about 3 of the cameos before I talk about this.
Okay.
So, here's a little bit of behind the scenes history. The voice of Jerrica and Jem and the singing voice of Jem were the 2 hairstylists that you see. And Christy Marks is at the very end, and she is she's the article writer for the Rolling Stones at the very end of the movie.
Okay.
Now, here's the thing with Christy Marks. She didn't know they were filming this movie till way later in production.
No, she
did not know. So I'm assuming this was like to appease her to be in the movie. And also, I'm almost certain she doesn't have any royalties. It's probably like how Marvel creators back in the day, if they made something, it belonged to Marvel, not you. Yeah. This is probably the same with like Christy Marks. Like she made Jem, but Hasbro owned it. Yeah, so she didn't have to. Didn't have to pay her shit.
Yeah, because she didn't come up with the doll idea. The doll idea was created
she just
by
wrote the story.
A random person. Yeah. They approached Hasbro, and Hasbro was just like, "Okay, we want to make these dolls." Christy Mark write the story. You know what is funny? Because Christy Mark had nothing to do with this. But Chu, the director of this, him and a producer of the film, Jason Blum, they spent 10 years developing this film.
That's God. It 2 hours wasted time seems like just a drop in the bucket. Compared to the 10 years these 2 wasted on trying to make this movie.
Oh, okay. Now that I told you that, do you know who this Jason Blum fellow is?
I mean, I imagine he's like the Blumhouse guy.
Yes, he founded Blumhouse. So you're talking about his company is behind stuff like Get Out, Whiplash, Split, the Black Phone. Like, this dude has made some amazing shit. What happened?
And also Jem in the hologram.
What happened?
What happened here?
10 years.
So at the very end of the movie, or very near the end of the movie, we see all these clips of random not YouTubers, but just normal people talking about Jem.
Yeah.
So this is actually a little bit of controversy.
Okay.
So in 2014, there was the film's producers opened an online contest encouraging fans to create short videos describing their love of the original Jem animated series and what a film version would mean to them. The winners were initially to be offered a small role in the film. This was later changed to having videos of themselves featured in the final production. The fan footage was interspersed with clips of celebrities and edited in such a manner the fans appeared to be talking about the film's version of the character. The fans with submitted footage were not informed as how it would be used and perceived as fans being misled into providing positive reviews for the film they had not been yet seen, resulting in many being upset by the manipulation of their perspectives on the character in the series in light of how unlike the original series the premise of the film was. So, like, they tricked all these people.
Yep.
And then gave them nothing.
Andrew, you know what the lesson is here?
No.
Always read the fine print, people. Always.
Yeah, always.
Because it's a controversy. It's not a lawsuit.
Yeah. So, you want to talk box office?
We've got to, man.
So this movie, no, I kind of have to eat my hat here.
Okay.
I said that in 2007, the Transformers were able to do what they did, and they had 2007 money, and this one had 2015 money and foresight. Well, the budget of Transformers was $147 million.
A little bit different.
The budget of Gem was $5 million with a box office of $2.3 million.
That tells me that Universal knew that this was going to be a flop.
Okay, so that's not all. This movie does a couple of other things. This film opened 15th at the box office, the worst opening of 2015, the fourth worst opening ever for a film screening in more than 2,000 theaters, and the worst film ever to be released by a major studio as far as budget is concerned.
Damn.
So Universal has the claim of having the worst film out of the big studios ever made.
That's
so
terrible.
Gem is like the worst major studio movie ever made as far as budget is concerned. It was in the film. It was in the movie theaters for 2 weeks.
Oof.
And they removed it fast. One of the few movies that never made it to Australia, just did direct DVD. And so the critical reception for this movie has been, most of it was praising Aubrey Peepless for her portrayal as Jim and Jerica. And then after that, it's just paragraphs of this thing dragging it for being like, why is this so not fun?
Yeah.
It's like, why did they take everything away from it?
That's really what it is. It's just not fun.
Like these movies have to be fun. You can't make them serious. You just can't. Anytime, okay, look, a lot of people give a lot of like modern like movies. So I'll use the MCU for example, because that seems to be the intellectual edgelord's punching bag recently. The MCU movies are described as fun. And that makes sense, because when you try to do a serious comic book movie, it can go so south so fast. Yeah. Looking at you, Joker. And so, like, this movie had to have been fun. A lot of people, one critic, they said it should have been more like the adaptation of Josie and the Pussycats. We might do a Patreon exclusive of that one someday. I need a little break from banned cartoons and movies.
Yeah.
But maybe later. And that makes sense. That movie is described as fun.
Yep.
And that's what these movies should be.
I actually, I read a review. Well, basically someone said they took their niece and nephew to go see this movie. Kids.
Right.
And they was like, the kids, after the movie was done, said to the aunt or the uncle, whoever it was, we should have just stayed home.
Damn. Not even popcorn can save that movie.
Just awful.
I guess that's the lesson learned. It's a terrible time and a terrible movie and incredibly boring and just like.
Yeah.
It's not even so bad it's funny or so bad that it's good. It's just bad.
Hey, Andrew, I'm telling you.
Don't make old cartoons into dramas. Don't do it.
I really think they could have went the route of creating a new animated series, and it probably would have done a lot better.
Or if they had leaned heavily into the just absolute insanity of the source material,
yeah,
it'd have been great. Just have the Misfits fucking terrorizing Jem and the Holograms, like literally like a campy Biggie versus Tupac.
They could have
just shenanigans and bullshit. That would have been. I'm not saying that movie would have been like amazing, but it certainly would have been better than this.
Maybe it would have been fun
by a long shot.
Yeah, maybe it would have been fun, at least.
Yeah, at least you would have had fun in the theater. Like, yo, man, we got to go see Jem and the Holograms. Here's some weed. Let's ride.
Well, to me, like, just pick one. If you're gonna go completely bananas, like with, hey, we're adding this source material in it that's like just shit crazy, then go crazy with it. Or take all of that stuff out and get just like more human, more serious with it. But the fact that they tried to bring synergy into this movie that they was trying to make also serious, just, no. You're not selling me on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I believe we've talked this to death. We've beat this poor movie to the ground enough.
Just terrible, man.
I guess this is a Patreon exclusive, so I don't have to ask you to subscribe to our Patreon, but I thank you that you did. We're going to try to do this on a bi-weekly basis. I won't guarantee that they'll all be live action landfills. We are open to suggestions. If you are one of our Patreon subscribers, feel free to message us and
well, put it in
be
the
like,
Discord.
Cover this, or finally do the hentai episode.
Oh God!
And we'll be like, what
are we doing?
Okay,
we talking about Bible Black? Is that what we're talking about?
No.
On that note,
we might have to up the tier for that one. That might just be for one super fan.
Oh God, it's Jessica. It's gonna be for Jessica.
Yeah, we'll see. But okay. Until next time, guys. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Live Action Landfill.
See ya.
This has been a Lughole podcast.